President of China, the leader of the most populous nation on Earth. His lifestyle is probably pretty luxurious.
Chinese President Xi Jinping is making history by continuing to hold on to power. Despite having a net worth of over $1 billion, he chooses to live a surprisingly modest life. Unlike his predecessors, who were known for their extravagant spending, Xi's frugal lifestyle stands out. So what motivates the most powerful man in China to live as though he has little money? From his humble beginnings to his crusade against corruption, we'll uncover the reasons behind his simple approach to leadership. Xi Jinping's modest beginnings. Before Xi Jinping became one of the most powerful figures in the world, his life was far from easy. He came from a humble, low-income household in China, and his early years were filled with hardships that shaped him into the leader he is today. He even lived in a cave before reaching adulthood. These early struggles have played a major role in who he has become, and it's no wonder he is so admired by the people of China. Growing up in the bustling heart of Beijing, the son of a respected and influential revolutionary leader, life seemed full of promise for young Xi. But everything changed when he was just 10 years old. His world was turned upside down as political tides shifted dramatically. Xi Jinping was born on June 15, 1953, to Shi Zhongxun, a man who rose to great heights in the Chinese Communist Party, eventually becoming vice premier. However, just as Xi's father reached the peak of his power, the political winds in China changed, and the Xi family was suddenly thrust into a time of intense struggle. The privilege they once enjoyed quickly vanished, and they faced many challenges that would deeply impact young Xi's character and future. Xi Jinping was left to find his way in the world on his own. His father, a once important political figure, had been put under house arrest a few years earlier, which meant Xi didn't have the support of his family like others might. In many ways, he was thrown into a political world without help. Born as the third child in his family, Xi had two older sisters, Chao Chao and Anan. Life in Beijing seemed stable for them, but underneath, China was changing quickly, and the future of the Xi family was about to take a big turn. This upheaval not only made Xi stronger, but also gave him a clear understanding of the unpredictable nature of power. Watching his father's rise and fall, he learned firsthand how quickly political influence can disappear. This experience likely shaped his tough approach to leadership and his reputation for being harsh. In 1963, when Xi was just 10 years old, everything started to fall apart. His father, once a well-respected and powerful leader, was suddenly removed from the Chinese Communist Party. He was sent to work in a faraway factory, far from the political life he had once known. The Chinese Cultural Revolution swept across China, shaking the very foundations of society. It targeted high-ranking intellectuals, officials, and anyone who didn't fully support the Communist Party's strict ideologies. For Xi, this meant a sudden halt to his education. Students were no longer encouraged to learn but to rebel, disrupting the normal course of life. Xi's family was caught in the whirlwind. Their home was ransacked and his sister Xi Heping was tragically killed. But the worst was yet to come. Soon after, Xi's father was branded an enemy of the revolution. He was publicly humiliated, imprisoned, and denounced. Under extreme pressure, Xi's mother was forced to publicly disown her husband. Once a respected family, they were now trapped in a nightmare. At just 15 years old, Xi faced a life-altering decision. On a cold January day in 1969, Xi made a choice that would deeply shape his character. He left behind the bright city lights of Beijing and embarked on a difficult journey to the remote village of Liangjia in Shanxi province. It was a world far from the one he had known, harsh, rugged, and poverty-stricken. Life in this village was brutal. It was a far cry from the comforts of the city, and Xi, just a teenager, had to quickly adapt. He faced fleas, grueling labor, and scarce food. The young boy from Beijing had to learn how to survive in this unforgiving new reality. This challenging experience would stay with him, shaping his humble and frugal nature, even as he later rose to become a wealthy and powerful politician. This turning point in Xi's life would prove that even the most difficult challenges could shape a person's future in unexpected ways. Could a city boy from Beijing adjust to such a harsh life? Let's find out. Teenage years and political enlightenment. It's hard to believe that the president of China, one of the most powerful figures in the world, spent his teenage years living in a cave in a small, remote village. Today, this once humble village is being turned into a tourist destination, a theme park-like attraction. The Chinese leader's past is now used to support and justify the Communist Party's rule. During his teenage and early adult years, President Xi Jinping spent a significant amount of time in this village. Those years shaped him deeply, molding his character and his values. His experiences of hardship and struggle fueled his commitment to fighting poverty in China and gave him a down-to-earth, relatable persona. Villagers in Liangjia often share stories with visitors about the time when a tall, pale teenager worked alongside them in the fields, slept on a simple straw mat in a cave filled with fleas, and experienced life in ways most could never imagine. These stories tell of his extraordinary journey from modest beginnings to becoming the leader of one of the world's most powerful nations. Xi Jinping shared that his political awakening started during his time in a quiet village, where he was sent as part of Mao Zedong's plan to send educated young people from cities to experience life with farmers. In a 2004 TV interview, Xi talked about how these early years in Liangjia deeply shaped his values and the growth of his ideas. It was in this village that he learned to be selfless and committed to serving the greater good of his people and country. Here he realized the value of simplicity, giving up the luxuries of city life to live more modestly and humbly. However, his journey was not easy. As a teenager, Xi initially had trouble adjusting to the tough conditions of the rural village, which had only a few houses. The extreme poverty and hard lifestyle were overwhelming for the 15-year-old, who missed the comforts of home. After just a few months, unable to handle the difficulties, he tried to escape, hoping to return to the life he had known before. When he returned to Beijing, his mother reported him to the authorities. As a result, he was arrested during a large government crackdown and sent to a work camp, where he was forced to dig ditches as part of a 6-month re-education program. Afterward, he went back to Liangjia, but only after his relatives convinced him to return. Despite the difficult times he faced, this experience in the countryside would go on to shape Xi's life in profound ways. Today, the people of Liangjia have warm memories of the young Xi Jinping, who worked beside them during his early years. They remember him hauling carts of sand, taking care of crops, and helping build a dam, all while enduring the tough conditions of rural life. Shir Yukin, a local villager who joined the Communist Party with Xi in 1974, reflects on those times, saying, "Life was hard back then. No one had enough food, and he suffered just like the rest of us. He did everything to help us. Everything he did was for the good of the village." Yukin also recalls the emotional moment when Xi left the village. He remembers how the young man, who had become a leader to them, cried as he said his goodbyes. In 1975, Xi Jinping reflected on a pivotal moment from his past. He recalled waking up to find villagers waiting patiently outside his cave, trying not to disturb him. He felt a profound sadness, admitting, "I cried that day. It was only the second time in 7 years." This memory holds a deep significance in his life. In recent years, Xi's connection to Liangjia, the village where he spent much of his youth, has brought noticeable change to the local economy. Today, the village is a bustling hub for tourists. Locals now offer buggy rides, sell souvenirs inspired by Xi's time there, and serve a special set meal that draws thousands of visitors each day. In addition, a television drama based on the region is being developed, though it's unclear if it will focus on Xi's life during his time there. During a recent holiday, Liangjia attracted over 30,000 visitors, each paying a small fee to explore the caves where Xi once lived. These caves have been preserved as part of a tourist attraction, showcasing relics like oil lamps and farming tools, giving visitors a glimpse into the harsh conditions Xi endured as a young man. Xi Jinping's time in Liangjia, where he served as the community secretary while living in a cave house just like many of the villagers, was a defining chapter of his life. For 7 years, he immersed himself in rural life, learning from the land and connecting with the rural poor in ways that few political leaders had ever done. This experience played a key role in shaping his leadership style. By 1973, his dedication had earned him recognition, and he was entrusted with leading educational initiatives in nearby villages. Yet despite his growing reputation, Xi faced the lasting shadow of his father's political legacy, a challenge that would follow him throughout his career. Xi Jinping's journey to becoming a leader in China is one of perseverance and determination. He faced many setbacks early on, including having his applications to join the Chinese Communist Party rejected about 10 times. However, his persistence paid off when he was finally accepted into the party in 1974. Once he joined, he wasted no time in making a difference. He introduced biogas technology to help with local fuel shortages, drilled wells to provide water, and created cooperatives to improve the economy. Though many villagers initially viewed him as an outsider, they soon began to see him as one of their own. This marked only the beginning of Xi's journey. In 1975, he was given a significant opportunity when he was recommended to attend Tsinghua University, one of China's most prestigious schools. There, he studied chemical engineering, blending his formal education with the practical knowledge he had gained from his work in rural areas. This combination of academic and hands-on experience prepared him for a future in leadership during a time of rapid change in China. Xi Jinping's rise from humble beginnings, growing up in a cave dwelling, reaches the highest levels of power, embodying a story of transformation, strength, and survival. His early years shaped the way he led and his political beliefs, especially his emphasis on staying connected to the people and addressing their needs. In honor of his father, Xi Zhongxun, a respected figure in the Communist Party, a new memorial hall has been built in Xi's ancestral home. This is part of a broader effort by the ruling party to portray Xi as someone with humble roots, especially at a time when many people are upset about the luxuries enjoyed by China's leaders. Though he is the son of a revolutionary hero and is often seen as a princeling, a term used for the children of high-ranking communist officials, Xi's early life in the difficult conditions of Liangjie shaped his image as someone who understands the struggles of ordinary citizens. The challenges Xi faced in his early years were key to his leadership philosophy. They taught him resilience and gave him valuable insights into hardship, which influenced his political vision for China. These formative experiences continue to play a significant role in his leadership and his approach to guiding the country. Early political career. In September 1988, Xi Jinping was given a new responsibility. He was appointed Secretary of Ningde, a remote and struggling area in China. Unlike the prosperous cities of Fuzhou and Xi'an, Ningde's economy was in rough shape and the region was poor and undeveloped. The task of improving this place was huge, even intimidating. But instead of feeling overwhelmed, Xi took on the challenge with determination. He started by organizing his thoughts and reflecting on his experiences. Over time, he collected these insights into a book called Getting Out of Poverty. This book wasn't just theoretical, it was built on Xi's direct practical efforts to reduce poverty and strengthen the local Communist Party in Ningde. It was a guide based on real, on-the-ground work to lift people out of difficult circumstances. This was only the start of his journey. In May 1990, the Chinese Communist Party's Fujian Provincial Committee recognized his efforts and promoted him to an even bigger role as the Municipal Committee Secretary in Fuzhou, a major city. This marked a significant step in his career. By 1997, he was making a strong impression within the party, eventually being named an alternate member of the 15th CCP Central Committee. Xi's rise through the ranks continued steadily. During a major four-day gathering, President Xi Jinping, also the General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee, delivered an important report on the party's work, reflecting his growing influence and the momentum of his leadership journey. But soon, an even bigger opportunity came his way. In 1999, Xi was promoted to vice governor of Fujian. Just a year later, he rose to the top as governor. During his time in Fujian, Xi Jinping's strategy was both bold and forward-thinking. He reached out to Taiwan, hoping to attract much-needed investment, and worked hard to strengthen Fujian's private sector, laying the groundwork for economic growth and innovation. Xi's vision was ambitious. He wanted Fujian to flourish. In 2002, he moved to the neighboring province of Zhejiang. This was a significant step up, and before long, he found himself in some of the province's most important political positions. Eventually, he was appointed as the party committee secretary of Zhejiang, his first time in such a powerful provincial role. Under his leadership, Zhejiang's economy took off, reporting an impressive 14% growth each year. Yet Xi wasn't solely focused on economic gains. He became known for his firm stance against corruption, building a reputation as a leader unafraid to crack down on dishonest officials. His strong anti-corruption efforts sent shockwaves across the country, catching the eye of China's top leaders and cementing his status as a rising star in national politics. Between 2004 and 2007, Xi Jinping's closest advisor was Li Qiang, who served as his chief of staff. This role helped them form a powerful political alliance. However, their story didn't end there. In September 2006, China's political landscape took a sudden turn. The party secretary of Shanghai, Chen Liangyu, was removed from his position in the wake of a massive corruption scandal that involved the Social Security Fund. This scandal shocked the entire nation and left Shanghai in need of a leader who could bring stability back to the region. This is where Xi Jinping came in. By March 2007, Xi was transferred to Shanghai to take over as the new party secretary. Xi's time in Shanghai was brief, lasting only 7 months, but those months were critical. His approach was straightforward: stay out of the limelight, avoid controversy, and enforce strict party discipline. He even turned down a special train that Shanghai officials offered to transport him between Shanghai and Hangzhou, politely reminding them that such privileges were reserved for national leaders alone. Xi's commitment to following the rules earned him significant respect, and his way of keeping the party unified was clear. There would be no purges or dramatic actions despite the scandal that had removed his predecessor. Xi was firm but cautious, balancing party loyalty with a long-term view. It was becoming increasingly evident that his image as a disciplined, pragmatic, and corruption-fighting leader was winning him the trust of China's top officials. His quiet, steady rise hinted at something greater yet to come for the man who had mastered the art of keeping his focus on the broader picture while navigating the twists of political life. So, what did all this mean for Xi Jinping's future? Let's take a closer look. Xi's anti-corruption campaign. Shortly after Xi Jinping became the General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party in 2012, he launched a bold campaign to root out corruption across the country. This effort changed Chinese politics in a major way and helped Xi to establish himself as one of the most powerful leaders in recent history, even securing him an unprecedented third term. Xi's campaign wasn't limited to a few small-time players. Instead, it took on corrupt officials at every level. Lower-ranking officials called flies were held accountable, as were the powerful and wealthy tigers at the top. This approach signaled a new era of discipline within the Communist Party and emphasized that no one, no matter their rank, was above the law. The campaign was also known for its crackdown on luxury and extravagant lifestyles among government officials. Xi put strict rules in place to curb excessive spending and flashy displays of wealth, reinforcing a culture of modesty and responsibility. His message was clear: officials needed to be humble and put the country before personal luxury. This focus on frugality reshaped not only the image of the party, but also strengthened Xi's hold on power and reshaped China's political landscape. In 2012, the Chinese government introduced the 8-point regulation, a set of strict rules that aimed to reduce unnecessary luxury in government activities. These regulations banned extravagant travel, reduced lavish red carpet events, and cut back on excessive ceremonies. This initiative sparked an extensive campaign that led to the investigation and punishment of tens of thousands of officials, from lower-ranking bureaucrats to powerful leaders, including Zhou Yongkang. Zhou, a former member of the Politburo Standing Committee, was one of the highest-ranking officials to be targeted. He was accused of serious misconduct and was ultimately placed under investigation. Many high-profile figures faced severe consequences, with some even serving prison sentences. Zhou Yongkang, the former head of security, was sentenced to life imprisonment following a secret trial. In some extreme cases, officials who were found guilty of corruption faced death sentences. The government's tough approach created an atmosphere of fear among officials, discouraging corruption and making it clear that the authorities were watching closely. This crackdown not only instilled fear, but also helped President Xi Jinping tighten his grip on the Communist Party, diminishing the power of rival factions. It allowed him to strengthen his control over the party and further solidify his leadership. Xi's anti-corruption campaign reshaped China's political environment, creating a culture of caution where many powerful elites were either purged or sidelined. While the campaign has been praised for improving public trust in the government and reducing wasteful spending, critics argue that it was also a way for Xi to eliminate potential rivals, secure his power, and demand absolute loyalty from the Communist Party. The full extent of this power consolidation became especially clear in 2018, when Xi pushed to remove presidential term limits, allowing him to extend his rule indefinitely. The anti-corruption campaign has had a twofold effect. It not only tackles real issues of corruption, but also strengthens his control over the party. His vision for China's economy focuses on sustainable, high-quality growth rather than reckless expansion or the misuse of state resources by those in power. His administration is working to shift the country from an economy reliant on local costs and exports to one that emphasizes domestic consumption, technological innovation, and environmental sustainability. According to China's state planners, promoting domestic consumption will play a larger role moving forward. Major initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative and Made in China 2025 reflect his push to strengthen China's global economic position while encouraging innovation and reducing environmental harm. Despite a shaky economic recovery, Beijing's long-term goals aim to reshape the country's economy. The Made in China 2025 plan is central to this transformation, showcasing his ambition to boost China's global economic influence while fostering technological advances and environmental protection. His lifestyle is often highlighted as a model of simplicity and discipline. The media frequently emphasize his frugal habits and rejection of extravagant luxury, portraying him as a leader focused on China's future rather than personal wealth. His commitment to anti-corruption principles, especially discouraging lavish behavior, sets an example for others in the party to follow, expecting them to act with the same sense of responsibility. But let's take a closer look at how people view his modest and frugal character. Xi Jinping's famous modesty. Xi Jinping is often seen as a leader who shows humility both in his personal life and work ethic. People who have worked with him frequently highlight his down-to-earth attitude and practical approach. For example, his wife, Peng Liwan, once shared that at home, Xi doesn't act like a leader, but rather as an ordinary husband, showing how humble he is in private. This sense of modesty carries over into his professional life as well. A notable example of this is when he was the party secretary in Shanghai and turned down a special train service, choosing instead to follow party rules and travel like everyone else. However, the modest image he presents to the public stands in stark contrast to the power he holds as China's leader. Since taking charge, Xi has strengthened his control over the country, especially after removing term limits in 2018. His leadership style has become more authoritarian, marked by strict party discipline, powerful anti-corruption efforts, and a focus on national pride. These actions demonstrate that while he may be personally modest, politically, he is a leader who demands loyalty and commands great respect. His approach to governance reflects a highly centralized, assertive style of leadership that grants him immense influence over the nation. Xi Jinping's simple lifestyle is reflected in the modesty of his official residence, Zhongnanhai, which is located near the Forbidden City in Beijing. While the complex may not appear extravagant by modern standards, it plays a crucial role in China's politics. Originally built during the Ming Dynasty, it became the headquarters for the Communist Party of China in the 20th century. The architecture of Zhongnanhai is rooted in traditional Chinese design, with its tranquil gardens, courtyards, and historical buildings. However, the true value of Zhongnanhai isn't found in luxury, but in its deep historical and political importance. This place has been home and workplace to generations of Chinese leaders, including Xi Jinping. Unlike many government buildings around the world, Zhongnanhai is not open to the public, enhancing its sense of exclusivity and power. It symbolizes the continuity of centralized authority in China, particularly under communist rule. Even though the complex doesn't showcase modern luxury, its significance lies in preserving tradition and Chinese cultural heritage. By choosing not to prioritize opulence, Zhongnanhai stands as a monument to history, offering a quiet but profound reminder of the nation's values and its dedication to honoring the past. The compound's security and its closed-off nature highlight the importance of the people who live and work there. Shaping China's governance from behind its walls, humility is a key aspect of Xi Jinping's leadership, deeply embedded in Chinese culture. This value stems from centuries of tradition and religious teachings such as Confucianism and Taoism. One of the core principles of Taoism is the concept of the three treasures or three jewels, which are compassion, simplicity, and humility. These virtues are central to living in harmony with the Tao, the guiding force in Taoism. The three treasures are found in the Tao Te Ching, a foundational text in Taoist philosophy. While the term has been applied in other contexts, such as Chinese Buddhism and traditional Chinese medicine in Taoism, it represents a fundamental approach to life. Compassion, the first of the three treasures, is particularly important in Taoism. It is seen as the root of true courage. The Tao Te Ching teaches that compassion is not only about showing kindness, but also about finding the inner strength to face life's challenges with empathy and understanding. This idea of compassion as a form of strength aligns with other Chinese philosophies like Confucianism, where humaneness, treating others with kindness, is a fundamental moral principle. In Taoism, compassion is not just a personal virtue. It's also a way of interacting with others to create peace and mutual understanding. The second treasure is frugality, which means living simply, avoiding excess, and embracing moderation. Taoism teaches that to live in harmony with the Tao, one must follow the natural order of the world. This naturally leads to a life that is simple and modest. By practicing frugality, a person avoids wasting resources and learns to preserve what is necessary, just as nature does. The third treasure is humility, which is about not striving to be the best or first in the world. This reflects the Taoist belief in stepping back from the spotlight and resisting the desire to dominate others. Taoism warns against the dangers of pride and arrogance, reminding us that true leadership is about leading by example, not by putting oneself above others, but by creating space for others to grow and thrive. In this way, humility acts as a shield, protecting the individual from unnecessary conflict and helping them stay aligned with the Tao. Together, these three treasures, compassion, frugality, and humility, form the core ethical guidelines of Taoism. Compassion fosters kindness and connection with others. Frugality ensures sustainability, helping us live in harmony with the world around us. Humility helps one to live without ego, avoiding the pursuit of power. When practiced together, these treasures provide a roadmap for those seeking balance, wisdom, and peace with the natural world. Xi Jinping's personal life. Xi Jinping's first marriage was to Cai Lingling, the daughter of Cai Hua, who served as China's ambassador to the United Kingdom in the early 1980s. However, their marriage didn't last long, and they divorced after just a few years. Their relationship was reportedly filled with constant arguments, with some saying they fought nearly every day. After the divorce, Cai Lingling moved to England to start a new chapter in her life. In 1987, Xi married Peng Liwan, a well-known Chinese folk singer. Their introduction was arranged by mutual friends, a common practice for many couples in China during the 1980s. During their courtship, Xi was described as intellectual, often asking Peng about her singing techniques. At the time, Peng was more famous than Xi, but that changed as his political career advanced. Due to their busy and separate careers, the couple often lived apart, but they maintained a strong partnership. As China's First Lady, Peng Liyuan took on a more prominent role than her predecessors, including hosting U.S. First Lady Michelle Obama during her 2014 visit to China. Xi and Peng have a daughter, Xi Mingzi, who graduated from Harvard University in 2015. While studying there, Xi Mingzi used a pseudonym to maintain privacy and focused on subjects like psychology and English. The family has a home in Jade Spring Hill, a residential area in northwestern Beijing, which is managed by the Central Military Commission, CMC. In 2012, Bloomberg News reported that some of Xi's extended family members had significant business interests, but there was no direct evidence that Xi had used his position to benefit them. The article led to Bloomberg's website being blocked in mainland China. Around the same time, the New York Times reported that, in line with Xi's anti-corruption campaign, his relatives began selling off their corporate and real estate holdings. The Panama Papers, a massive leak of financial documents, later revealed that some of Xi's family members were linked to offshore companies. Among them was his brother-in-law, Deng Jiagui, who had 2 shell companies in the British Virgin Islands, while Xi was a senior member of the Politburo. However, these companies were inactive by the time Xi became the General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party in November 2012. Do you think Xi Jinping's frugality is a personal choice, or is it part of a broader political strategy? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.